Cedric Maxwell podcast
is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
All right, back with another summer edition of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavone alongside Cedric Maxwell, and it's the Mailbag episode, Max. We got all these questions in from our listeners, from our followers on Twitter. We appreciate everyone who reached out. But all right, let's get into these questions. I feel like I'm setting the tone here. We're going to go back in time because a lot of these questions about asking about your playing career, Celtics stuff. You know how Celtics fans are, man. Mm-hmm. Mostly Celtics questions, but I'm going to hit you with this one. First one at the mailbag. We got name your favorite. This is from a user on Twitter. I guess I just put it that way. Name your favorite player you competed against and why.
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Right.
Probably, I always disliked them, but, I can't say I disliked them. Probably would have been Dr. J. My first time playing, I told this story before, I was playing against Dr. J, and I was so fascinated with him. I might as well have been a maitre d' because I was like, damn, that was a nice move. Damn, that was another nice move. Wow, this way to your table, sir. I mean, I was so fascinated that I didn't even I think that time is his career high. He had like 45 against me. And if I touched him 2 times, that would have been too much because I was so in awe of him. So that would have probably been my favorite player. But my favorite player probably would have been Kareem, though. I didn't have to guard him, but Kareem would have been my favorite player because I had his number when I was in college. And he was a guy I loved more than anybody else.
Okay. All right. That's good. I didn't know that about the Dr. J part. I remember you telling me about Kareem. Yeah, that was your guy, and that's the reason why you wore that number. But okay.
Kareem did something I told people before. He did something to me, and that's when I knew I finally crossed over. He came down. I had scored. He came down, and he elbowed me in the stomach. I was like, damn, dude, for what? I was like, and it didn't hurt me, but it hurt my feelings. I was like, this dude just elbowed me for no reason. And I asked him about that later on. He said, I just knew you were up and coming player, so I was just sending a message.
That's how I would have taken it. Yeah, like I see you, youngin.
And I would have been like, yo, man, nice shot, or shook my hand, or hit me on the back or something. Nice play, young fella. I would have taken that instead of the elbow, but that was Kareem.
Was he as stoic as they made him look on that? I know you didn't watch it, but that HBO show, Showtime Lakers.
Yeah,
was he was like that, right? Even with his own teammates. I mean, you didn't play.
I think he was. I got a chance to play with him when he retired. We did a Gold Trotter tour. It was myself, Kareem. God bless some of these guys. Dan Roundfield, JoJo White. Hank Gather's friend, I'm not going to forget what his name was, Bo Kimball, I think. And we played against the Harlem Globetrotters on the European tour for almost a month. And I got a chance finally to talk to Kareem. And it was really cool because, he talked to me a little bit. We talked about what he was doing. Now, the thing he did, he left us and he took a trip. We had an off day and he left us. He went to, took a private plane, went to Amsterdam. Now, what do you think he did in Amsterdam?
Oof, must have been smoking that good. That loud, as they say.
That's good.
He was smoking that loud.
He came back happy. I know that. He was light on his feet when he got back. So
yeah, they're known for those pot shops. You can go into those cafes and you good. You're taken care of.
He had a good time. We beat the Globetrotters one time, and that made national news. When the Harlem Globetrotters got beat by some NBA players.
Wait a minute. Which you guys went out? You went away from the script? What's going on?
We were pros, and these guys. Some of the guys I played were Hall of Famers. That wasn't a guy on the Globetrotters. That was a Hall of Famer. Now we were older players, and they were young, but still were able to beat them. But it was a real good game. We had a good time, and fundamentally we got a chance really to meet those guys and kind of tutor them and. I became friends with some of those guys for a while. They came to a couple of the Celtic games, or I might have went to one of their games one time when they came to Boston. So it was really a cool time.
Yeah, it must have been an unforgettable experience for those guys, man, for sure. That's Awesome that you still keep in touch. Oh, they do at least. That's what's up.
We're trying to call you while you're doing your podcast.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to. I mean, I do know, but it's a friend of mine. I'm gonna have to tell him you need to know better. It's weird too because I rarely get phone calls. You know, it's all about texting nowadays. So I'm surprised.
You always put your phone like me, put it on silent or put it in another room. Just
I know.
Podcast.
Max, I know you're not telling me about that. Yeah. That happens to you every other episode, man.
I try to turn my phone off.
That happens often. You. Out of the two of us, you the one that you got.
It isn't even in the room with me now.
I appreciate that. All right, next question. I like this one because this was a question I feel like maybe I asked you or we kind of talked about it briefly, but I forget exactly. But this one of our listeners who not only responded to this, but hits us up often, just telling us how much they love the show on Twitter, even on Instagram. But his question is, and I just want to preface it with this beginning sentence. So the FX new series Clipped, right, focusing on the former LA Clippers governor, Donald Sterling. Mm-hmm. His question is, what was Donald Sterling like when you were in LA? And if you had any face-to-face interactions with him, what were those like?
Let's see. So I got traded in 1985, 86. I met him. We talked briefly. I remember coming in the locker room, really strange because normally governors don't come to the locker room.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
That was after we had got through working out and guys were trying to get ready to go home. And he brought a couple of his friends in the locker room. And they were like, yeah, these are my guys right here. And that was just kind of weird because we were all in a, hurry trying to get home, especially in the LA traffic. I didn't get any of the craziness that some of my teammates, some of the other guys got later on with Donald Sterling. But, just to harp on it and look who he was as a person, reading some of the stuff, being in LA, knowing, familiar with some of the nuances of the team. It was just kind of, it was stupid. But I've said this before, in Donald Sterling's defense, the only one who didn't make money with that escapade was a young lady who exposed everything.
Yeah.
Now everybody says, so how did that happen? Everybody made money. Donald Sterling bought the team for, and maybe it was $28 million or $30 million, whatever. He moved it. The NBA did not want him to move from San Diego. He moved to LA. The NBA hated that. They went back and forth. So Donald Sterling, he got punished. His punishment for the verbal statements he said about people of color.
Right. Magic Johnson.
Had with the young lady, all that stuff that came out, in the news. What was his punishment? They forced him to sell the team. And
he made a profit.
And he sold it for $2 billion.
Yeah.
After buying the team for about $39 million. So every NBA franchise, their value immediately went up when that sale went through. Yeah. Now look at some of these teams now they're being sold. Look what Wick is doing with the Boston Celtics. Selling part of the team. He's going to make. They bought the team. The collectively bought the team for about $320 million. Now he might sell part of his share for $2 or $3 billion, and still have ownership in the Indy. Who else made money? All the franchises made money.
Yeah, man, Clippers got that new stadium, new arena.
Stadium. Who else was involved in it? But the young lady, the wife, ended up making money. She went at the girl. Mm-hmm. The girl lost everything that she had. She had a townhouse downtown in LA.
Well, he purchased the condo, right.
Yeah, she had two. Mm-hmm. She had 2 cars that she was driving. All she had to do is be quiet. So for her, the opportunity for Donald Sterling was he made money. She didn't make money, and the league made money.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, you just go against the numbers. You against the numbers, that's it. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. That's right, $10 into $1,000. It's that easy. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football season in September. 4 weeks of free wins, 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss the deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September is gone, when September ends. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with Prize Picks. Patrick Mahomes, what do you think of this one? Patrick Mahomes for more than 4,300 passing yards. And Aaron Rodgers, listen, he has to really step it up. Aaron Rodgers for more than 3,750 passing yards. Yeah, I think both of those can happen. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game.
Yeah, man, it's crazy stuff. I mean, just to see the whole thing, the way they did it on FX, which everyone was talking about, just the focusing on the characters, because they looked nothing like the guys from real life. The only one that was close was Donald, with Paul O'Neill. You remember Al Bundy? Remember, did you watch that show, that comedy? What was it called? With Sofia Vergara? What the heck is it called? Of course, that's how I remember it.
It was, you talking about All My Children?
No, not All My Children. It was later on.
I thought that was the one with Al Bundy in it.
No, that's Married with Children.
Married with Children. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did a good job, but yeah, everyone else was just whatever. If you can look past that, it was a decent story. They only do these one season things, these tell-offs, of a scandal. It seems like FX is picking one every single year, so this year is this one. But yeah,
everybody's still trying to piggyback off of Showtime. That particular series, the way it went, and the most fascinating thing about it to me was the fact that the Celtics won in 1984. And then the series went off. They didn't show the Lakers beating us in 1985. so that was a cool part. And I didn't have to answer questions about being hurt or anything like that.
Modern Family. That was the name of it. That's Modern Family. I don't know if you watched that, but he was on that show as well. But yeah, man, I can't imagine. Did you talk about it with your teammates or the guys that had been there for a while? Be like, yeah, he's different or anything like that about Donald?
Talked to Norm Nixon. Norm Nixon still lives in Los Angeles. My teammate, married to Debbie Allen, the actress. We talked about it for a little bit because we were on that team. Marcus Johnson talked about it for a little bit, and just he was, and everybody would say the same thing. Did no interaction with us during the '86 time, but everybody still thought it was kind of weird how he was. We didn't see all those other things that kind of went on that they had later on in the show.
Right. I guess he got a little too comfortable after that, teams later and all that stuff came out. All right, next question. Where would you wait? Hold on. No, my bad. What was your reaction to being drafted by the Boston Celtics, a young Cedric Maxwell coming out of UNC Charlotte? You hated it. What? Where did you want to go? Did you have like a list? Because that's every player does. The ones that say they don't, they got a couple.
The teams that were right behind the Celtics. The team that didn't want to pick me, and I was picked I was a lottery pick. I was number 12. The teams that didn't pick me were Milwaukee. Milwaukee talked a lot of noise about me because they visited and said I was a flake, and I was trying to get my.
So that's where you were trying. Wait, so that's where you were trying to go?
No. That's the team that didn't pick me.
No, I know, but I thought you said that the ones that didn't pick you were the ones that. Okay, my bad.
Number 11 was Milwaukee. Number 12, the team that I wanted to pick me actually, and I've been mad all this time saying it was number 13, but they were actually 14, was the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks was picked 2 picks later. That's where I wanted to go. I wanted to stay in the South.
Yeah, Max already knew. No, you already knew about Atlanta. You're like, Atlanta's up and coming. It's gonna be popping in about 15, 20 years.
It wasn't even Atlanta the basketball club. It was Atlanta the city. I mean, I just really wasn't interested in Boston. I mean, I read a lot of things about Boston, racially, and and I knew it was cold, but I knew Atlanta was right down the street from Charlotte. Now, I might have been in the league for maybe about 3 years if I had gone to Atlanta, because I would have been, I don't know, I'd been buck wild down in Boston, because we were so isolated and there were so few people of color, which I didn't even know. I didn't even know Roxbury existed.
No, man. Don't sleep on it.
No, they took me.
Don't let that national propaganda fool you, man. There's plenty.
No, we practiced up in Burlington. We practiced in Burlington. I wasn't hanging out. The first place I went that I thought I would see some people of color was the Boston Commons. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go in the Boston
Commons. Go to the park.
They're gonna have a basketball court down there. I'm gonna play some hoops or something like that. I never made it to the other side of town until later on that I see people of color and say, oh man, there's some black people, Dominican people. There are people.
That's where they took us away, Max. They took us away in the borough. I call it Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, Hyde Park, Mattapan. Yeah.
Never knew that existed for my first year or so in the league, in the NBA. So Atlanta was the team I wanted to go to. So when I got drafted by the Celtics, I was just upset. I did not. And they, at that time, they picked you by a ticker tape. You weren't in a green room. You were in a room where they just all of a sudden, okay, number 13 or number 11 is by Chicago, or number 11 by Milwaukee. They took Ernie Grunfeld.
Wait, but are the GMs there, or so they already make their pick? They got a list. They're just announcing it.
They were in the GMs were in New York, and none of the players.
So they're making those decisions. Those calls in a separate room, miles away. Damn.
Miles away. I got picked out. I was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Most everybody else was all over the place. Nobody was like, okay, the commissioner comes on the podium and says the number 1 pick belongs to this team. Who do you take? And then now you see, goes to the player. They get the player. He goes up on the mic. It's become a big stage now.
Yeah, everyone goes to New York. It's all in one place.
Back then it wasn't. All it was remember back then, there were 9 rounds, Josue.
Yeah, that's crazy. 9 rounds. Yeah.
The year that I got picked, which is crazy, was Caitlyn Jenner was in my draft. Got picked the same year I was drafted.
What?
Bruce Jenner got drafted.
So they picked him hoping that he would play, but obviously he didn't.
No, somebody picked him with like 8 or 9, the 9th round, but it was just for publicity. The first woman at that time, Ann Myers, got picked by a team. Annie Myers got picked by a team that year, like in 1977, by I don't even know what team it was, but there was a woman, and there was Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner, was picked in the draft in 1977, which is a little known fact to a lot of people.
There you go. That's a great, what do you call it? Those trivia question right there. There you go. No one would guess that.
Matter of fact, I thought I had, what was I think this year we were in Arizona. We're in Phoenix, and we're at a resort outside of Phoenix. And it was it was maybe 20 miles outside of the city. And up came somebody who looked like Caitlyn Jenner. And I looked and I wanted to say, hey, did you get drafted the year? But I didn't know. I couldn't. So I just can't. Wait,
but you knew it was a lookalike though, right? You weren't doing
you can't, you're not going to look for so hard. But I looked and I'm like, should I say, hey, Caitlyn, hi? And then she, it might have been one of the most awkward times ever. So I just had to let it go. It could have been, might have been, but a wiser older Cedric Maxwell just let that go.
Let that mystery go, man. Just tell that story and just leave it open-ended like that. Yeah, that was a good call. Probably the best thing to do there. All right, two more here. Second to last question. Who's your favorite current Celtics player and why? I feel like people just from the podcast thought that maybe Marcus might have been your favorite. So maybe you have a new favorite, but I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Marcus was my favorite.
Okay, so that's accurate. All right.
The way he played, but I think it might be. I think my interaction probably with Tatum has probably been registered a lot more. The fact that you love the fact that Jason Tatum got up on the podium and said, "Cedric Maxwell." I thought he was just a guy walking around. I didn't know who he was.
I thought he was a radio guy.
This radio guy walking around.
6'7" radio dude, man. Just a legend.
All of a sudden, I'm looking at 30 for 30, and I'm going, "Hey, there's that guy right there.
I know that dude.
I know that dude. He's at the game all the time." So, and that was when after he saw 30 for 30. I've told this story before. How he walked out on the floor and he was going to warm up, and all of a sudden he started yelling out, "Cornbread, cornbread, cornbread." I was like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" And saw that 30 for 30. Damn, you were a bad motherfucker back in the day. So
I bet you didn't even realize. I bet you're so used to being called cornbread that you didn't even realize that's the first time he's ever called you that. So I think he was trying to give you like a little wink. That's funny.
He saw the 30 for 30 with Lakers Celtics, and he identified who I was by what happened. So it's kind of cool. It was kind of cool.
You know, it would be cool, man. If we can somehow get another Celtics Lakers finals, man. Just one more time, one more time for a while. You see, you don't even want to see it. You're like, man, let them boys suffer. Let that team, the fans, let them suffer. Let them suffer for a while.
Let them die. Let them die where they're at.
You try and see the Celtics build a lead. That's what you want to see. You want to see Celtics get 19, 20.
You lead, so we won't have to even start thinking about these Laker people crowing back and forth right now. But
it could be a long road, man. After post LeBron, I know Lakers fans don't want to even think about that yet, but it could be a long way for these guys. We'll see.
It could be closer when LeBron leaves, because it's just like the Olympics right now. Guys like Jason Tatum aren't getting the chance to play because everybody is deferring to LeBron. He's played well. I'm not taking anything. He's played well, but the younger players still defer to him. And what that does, especially in Lakerland, it doesn't allow those other guys to grow. Like Anthony Davis should be that much better. You think about it. But what he does a lot of times, he defers to LeBron. How many times have we seen in the game playoff game where Anthony Davis doesn't even touch the ball and LeBron is dominating the basketball, and they end up losing, and then they ask Anthony Davis later on, so, "Why didn't you get the basketball?" "Well, I tried to get in there and get the ball, but it's like, dude." So I think they're closer when LeBron leaves than they are with LeBron there, because LeBron has to. Right now, you look at the Olympics. The Olympics, LeBron only has. They're not. He doesn't have to play an 82 game schedule. What they're playing for about 2 weeks or whatever long it is, or maybe a month. But you look at Jason.
About 3 weeks.
How much time is Jason Tatum getting right now? How much runs he getting?
A little over double digits in minutes after that huge fiasco. not meant. Yeah, not much.
Yeah. So it just, and I'm not even sure if that was a fiasco.
Yeah, no, you're right. I shouldn't have said that term. But for Celtics Twitter, it was a big problem to see Tatum on the bench the entire game, getting a DNP for the first time since he was a kid.
Yeah, probably not even being a kid.
I know, right? He was probably one of those dudes that was already like 5'8" at age 11.
He probably has never had a DNP. Unless he was hurt. But if he was
right, healthy ready, DNP.
If he was healthy, and I had some of them and when I was in my first year in the NBA, and
I had some of my first year in high school, man. That's crazy.
The guy looked at me and did like this. He said, "Yeah, Joe." So the guy looked at me and said, one of my teammates said, "Oh, you went to Detroit National Park." I said, "What are you talking about?" DNP. DNP, Detroit.
Oh, Detroit National Park. Oh, damn.
I was like, really? Really? So, and it's for a player who wants to compete and you're healthy, it's just kind of shocking. So for his system and this ego, it had to be like, it had to be a slap in the face. Now, somebody said, well, Steve Kerr, he said something to Steve Kerr and that, but that doesn't seem like Jason Tatum to me.
No,
that doesn't seem like just somebody said. I was at an event. Jeffrey Osborne, the R&B singer, had a celebrity.
Yo, speaking of events, Max, I'm gonna ask you about one after this because, man, I'll explain later. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, he had an event yesterday, and Wesley Matthews' brother was down there. His dad was down there. Wes Matthews Sr. And he was talking about Tatum. And I said, well, then stop that $300 million. And he said, Jason Tatum cut Steve. He cut Steve out. And I said, that doesn't seem like he's going to cut Steve Kerr out. Yeah. If
he wouldn't even cuss out his teammates, man. That's just not his style.
I don't want to, you know what? You could have left me home. I ain't coming here for no, sit on this fucking bench like that. And I was like, man, it just doesn't seem like anything that Tatum would say.
No, it doesn't. And you look at the run that he's had, all last year, throughout the entire postseason. I mean, that stuff starts to add up, right, Max? I mean, last year, the deep playoff run he had, going right into this year, like all that stuff adds up. So I take it as like the DNP thing. I'm sure he was a little taken aback at that. But for the most part, he's not going to trip off of what's going on because they're winning. If it was a matter of, oh man, it was a coin toss or whatever. They only won by 2, or they lost the game. Then I could see Tatum saying like, okay, what's going on? But even at that point though, to say something to Kerr like that, nah, that's not his style.
You saw him walking in, and which I think probably for his ego probably was so cool when the rest of the players were. Referred to him as, yo, what's up, champ?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what up, champ?
That had to be like such a great feeling comparably to when he went to events. And it's like, yeah, Tatum hadn't won or Tatum hasn't done that. We saw LeBron talking about it, said, I didn't win till I was this age, or Michael didn't win till he was this age. Now Tatum has done that. And, the guy who seems more like in the news this year has been his teammate. Brown.
Jalen, yeah.
Brown can't get out of his way. I mean,
what do you mean?
Just wait. People are reading his lips right now.
Oh yeah. He's getting that MVP platform.
I don't see Bronny being a pro. Read lip readers right now are telling you what the man said.
Yeah.
And so I mean, and he's been the biggest guy in the news. Considering,
beefing with Nike. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the whole the tweets about Nike, what went behind him not being called or being named to the team, the history between him and Nike, going out there, people doing their homework and realizing that they haven't had the best relationship, so maybe that has something to do with it. So yeah, he's been in the news a lot, but I mean, the Finals MVP, if you pull up to a Summer League game, there's gonna be a lot of cameras on you, Max. And you're right, man. I wouldn't assume someone would be reading my lips while I'm sitting courtside, but they got him good with that Bronny. I guess that is the way you people pronounce Bronny is easier for these lip readers.
So wait a minute. So Josue, you're the king of having a camera in somebody's face later on.
Like, not even.
I'm always to go back to that.
The king? That's king. A heavy title. That's a heavy title.
I got you right here. I got you right here. Here you go, Max. I see you right now. I'm like
viral moments. Viral moments. What it is?
Yeah. I mean, what'd you have? Almost $700,000 people seeing your clip that time.
1,000. Million, my guy.
It was excuse me, my guy. I'm sorry. A million people seeing your clip.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Me and your
5 mil. I think 7 mil, something like that.
Me and your boy going back and forth. I was like you all up in the mix of that. So
Yeah. But what was everyone saying though, Max? Like, this is incredible. This is what we want to see. How real, legendary NBA, players talk about stuff. Moments, literally, not even 15 minutes after the final buzzer. Like we couldn't recreate that if we wanted to. It was great.
Yeah.
Draymond getting in the middle of it. I didn't anticipate. All right, I didn't anticipate for him to have to have a response and pretty much wait for his time to go over there and be like, let me talk to these dudes right now.
An immediate response. That's what was the crazy thing. It wasn't like he waited. It was like an immediate response where he went right at me on camera. And this thing goes viral, and we got going back and forth. And he's like, he was on
NBA TV talking about it. It was great, man.
I remember finally walking away from that, saying, "Yo, man, Draymond," and it's like, well, I'm not a player, so I wouldn't get into what somebody else said. That wouldn't even register me. I wouldn't. Right. I wouldn't.
To me. I always say, Max, to me, he took it to the heart because it was Gary Payton youth, and Gary was agreeing with you, and Gary was even adding his 2 cents and saying like, yeah, back in our day, he gets knocked out. And then he didn't like that because who's his son? His teammate, right? Gary Payton. But at the end of the day, man, those are, like I said, 2 legends talking about the NBA Finals. That got nothing to do with you, Draymond. And if you took offense to that, man, I don't know. I think that was a little uncalled for at the end of the day because it has more to do with you two, your relationship than with you and Gary were talking than to saying like, oh man, it'd be okay. Put it this way, it'd be different if you and Gary were like, yeah, man, Draymond's soft, that little soft. No, you guys didn't say that. You guys were just like, yo, if he did that back in our day, that's all it was. There was nothing about you, calling out his name or calling him outside of his name or questioning his character. It was none of that. But the way it went viral, I feel like it didn't sit well with him. But
yeah, you were there, so you would know, and then that's how the new world is. Especially
first,
you.
Hey man, my first NBA Finals. Yeah. I had to do. I gotta give the people what they want. I gotta give them that access. Reporter, you know what I mean? That reporter instinct, it just kicked in, man. I can't. That's the best way I can describe it, I guess.
There's nothing like live baseball on a hot summer day, and I can't wait for my upcoming trip to Fenway Park this month, and you could be doing the same thing thanks to Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. With the All-Star game in the rear view, right now, this is the time where things start to heat up going into the playoffs this upcoming fall, and you don't want to miss out on the action. I mean, the Boston Red Sox are one of the hottest teams in the MLB right now, playing their best of the year, and you don't want to miss out. You could also get last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy place to buy MLB tickets, and for every other kind of event in your area. This is your place to go to. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And also, it's the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, last question. Where am I here? Oh, yeah, that's right. Your Mount Rushmore of favorite musicians. I feel like we might have talked about this before, or maybe it was your favorite shows.
We never have. And this
right.
I just was talking to somebody about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Right.
Mount Rushmore of favorite musicians.
All genres.
I only can take 4. But then there's women too, though, right? So it's women and men. Ooh.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna go with Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Stevie Wonder.
That's your dude.
Wow. See, I'm leaving people out that I absolutely love. You gotta, well, you know what? I just go like this. You gotta go with Prince and you gotta go with Michael Jackson.
Okay. That's a great list, man. You got a little bit of everything there. That's perfect.
If you say you're 4, and I have one of the greatest woman of all time. I have the king of pop. I have, those people that I name. And and how do you go away from Prince? You can't.
Yeah.
And Stevie Wonder has been a genius, and I've idolized him forever. So,
you know what's crazy, Max? Real quick, I just thought of it right now. What was it? Apple Music released the 100th greatest albums of all time, and 3 of those people are in the top 5 that you just named. Songs and the Keys of Life with
Stevie Wonder,
excuse me. I was gonna say Marvin Gaye, my fault. Stevie Wonder, which by the way, I was listening to. I know, I messed up. I was listening to that with my brother this weekend, and I was thinking about how that's one of your favorite albums ever. Thriller was number 2, and I'll get back to that in a second. And then 3 was Prince. I want to say, is it Purple Rain? No, it wasn't Purple Rain. I gotta look up the album. My fault.
Probably, I would have said probably Purple Rain was the one.
It might have been. I think it might have been Purple Rain.
He's had other albums were great, but probably Purple Rain would have been in there. So if I say my artists, those would have been the ones that would have touched me. But you just mentioned Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, that's another one.
I got to have honorable mentions that that would be like, oh my God, Marvin Gaye, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Charlie Wilson with the Gap Band. Now, for you, it's going to be somebody different. So let me turn around and ask you. So yours will probably be what, E40 is going. You're going to start there.
Drake, of course. No, man.
Give me your 4 then. So
my 4.
Age is going to come in and take place here. I
might have to take MJ from you though. I might have to take Michael Jackson, man. That's okay. Growing up, man. Man. All the hits for sure. Jay-Z for sure, man. One of my favorite artists ever. Love me some Jay-Z. See, here's where it gets tricky, man. I want to put Biggie in here. I want to put Kanye, even though he's like not the best name to throw out right now. But man, there's like 3 albums that some of my favorite music it came from Kanye, man. So it's tough, man. I try to think about it, like breaking it all down. Yeah, man, it's tough. Favorite bands? I got a couple bands too that I like.
Yeah, but if I threw in that, if I said, okay,
it's hard.
I put myself in some of today's music, it would be like Biggie, and it would be like Tupac. Those would have been like guys. I've been like, how do you leave Beyonce out? How can I leave out Jay-Z? I mean, those are legendary people. So I think it's eras, genres, and that's what is really cool that you said you took Michael Jackson out of my era. That's really cool when you think about
that crossed over.
Yeah, that crossed over that you think about. It's almost like Prince now. You could play a Purple Rain. You could play Purple Rain, and your generation would be like, or if you play something from Thriller, your generation probably would be like, yeah, I remember that. I was with my dad's. We used to sing that together, and so.
Man, Joel and I slide around the floor with our socks trying to do Michael Jackson movie, man. Yeah, we had all the hits, man, and Pops put us on too, man. My dad, man, he had every genre you could think of, all that music, especially MJ, in the '80s, huge. Obviously, Thriller came out.
I think your dad, I would be thinking him with some Dominican music.
You mean Spanish music?
Yeah, Dominican, Spanish. I mean, me.
There's that too for sure.
Who would he say?
But you got to remember though.
What's Tito? What's the guy's name? He's Dominican. I think he's Dominican.
Oh, you're talking about Tito Horford?
No, play music. Hell no. Tito Horford.
Oh, Tito Fuente. You talking about Tito Fuente? Yeah, you know about him? Okay.
Yeah,
all right, Max.
I'm not going. Well, okay. So you'd have to say during that era, somebody like that you get out and go, okay, this is who was in the Latin world. That was so.
I should have I should ask him and get back to you.
We look at it. Hey, look at your guy.
But you know what's interesting though, Max? Real quick though, you know what's interesting? Because the reason why I talk about the '80s was because, or even the '70s, when he came to the U.S., all that music is playing. So he's a huge '70s guy. He loves disco, which I feel like some people don't like it, but you know, R&B, '80s, like all that stuff.
How do we get away from Bob Marley?
Oh, see, Bob's got to be on my list too. It's tough, man.
How are you gonna do that, Joseph?
I know.
Bob Marley. How do you get away from that?
I know. It's tough. I feel like I got 3 locks. I feel like I think it's like Jay, MJ, and maybe Bob. I think those are the locks right now. I don't know. It's tough.
I mean, that to me, that's the crazy thing about when you talk about music and stuff that happens. Like, and we haven't even talked about some of the legendary groups that were, like the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Or, the one I thought was the craziest one. I had a buddy of mine who loved, he is a black guy. He loved Pink Floyd. And he turned to some Pink Floyd song where it shows you hear a fly coming into the room, just buzzing around, and a guy with a fly swatter swinging at it during the album. And then finally swats it. I said, that was the song? He said, that was the song. I said, you had to be high.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man. The Pink Floyd crowd is different.
You had to be so fucked up during that time, thinking like, the fuck, that's music? Somebody with a fly.
Yo, that's a trip. That's what that is, Max. My man's tripping.
So I mean, just legends of the game that we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, for me in the '90s, alternative.
Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was she was bad. God bless her soul.
Yeah,
and, I thought for me, with you, I thought it would be New Edition.
No, I kind of missed that one, man.
What?
Yeah, I kind of missed it, man. Yo, when they were popping, I was either not born yet or like one. Like, yeah, like when I was like, when they made their comeback, like in the mid '90s, that's when I was like, oh, these dudes are from Boston. Like, I didn't know like who they were, and then I would recognize some songs like "Slow It Down," stuff like that. But I didn't say, oh, that's New Edition from Boston. Like, I didn't make the connection, man. I was super young. Yeah,
I thought wasn't D Brown during your time?
Nah, man, D Brown shit. D Brown was
B Brown.
The early night. B Brown?
B Brown.
Oh, Bobby Brown. Nah. See, Bobby Brown. You know what? I remember hearing more about Bobby, like when he was solo, and then it took me years to put it together. Like, oh, he's that kid from that little kid band or whatever, New Edition. Then when I got older, I found out they were from Boston. I had no idea. Yo, Max, they were Mecco kids. Like,
yes.
I found all that stuff out years, a decade and a half later or whatever, watching documentaries.
How about the Wahlbergs?
Oh man, nah, I didn't even know those dudes rapped.
New kids on the block.
Max, one day I was watching MTV, watching videos back in the day, which I used to love to do. And that shit popped on, and I was like, "Is that Mark Wahlberg?" Like, yo, I was sick. The funky what? Yo, the good. That's them, dog. I thought that Good Vibration was some one-hit wonder. Yo, I was like, what?
Oh shit!
I was like, yo. And then of course my brother classic, like, yo, you didn't know that, you idiot. Like, come on, man. Yeah, so God. I had no idea. I mean, I'm not young enough that, I didn't know that Ice Cube was in a group called NWA, but I'm somewhere in between, I guess. Like, there's people out there that only know that know Ice Cube from the family movies and whatnot. They didn't even know he had a whole rap career and was controversial.
Just the audacity for them to have NWA, just niggas with an attitude.
Yo, what was that like when that came out? You must have been like, what? You must have been like, this rap thing has gone too far, damn it.
It was I was already in my, I don't know, I think I was in my late 40s by the time that came.
But you thought it was a phase, though. Be honest.
Oh, I did. No, when Rappers Delight came out, I thought that was a phase. And to see it, it's went from that to to MC Hammer, to people laughing at MC Hammer,
See, I felt like that stuff helped the culture because the real rappers or whatever, the ones that were really doing it and trying to make nice albums were like, I think that motivated them, you know?
Oh,
It took a while, but
they blew up. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, people like that
Oh, man.
today, and you know, Drake, people like that. I would love to know from a young person the perspective of, you know, their Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
That would be so cool to get a young person of color to see, because I think they would all kind of go with Jay-Z. I think he's the master right now. But Jay-Z looks at other people, and DMX, he says he had to follow DMX. He said that was the scariest time ever for him. He talked about DMX was doing something, and I think this was right.
Max, there were people in the crowd crying, but yeah, go ahead. Like he was intense.
I heard. Yeah, he was. The DMX comes out with the growl, and he said people were backstage going crazy, and then he comes out
at the end of his
he said people were crying, and then blood come. He said that would, and he said, okay, all right, Jay-Z, you on now. He said that shit was the scariest. He said women were crying and people were hollering. He said that was so scary to me. If we ever talked about Jay-Z, I would love him to tell that story. That it just was the coolest, most surreal story. I mean, I can only, for me, I only compare that to watching guys I played with, playing with the Magic Johnsons of the world, the Larry Birds, the Kareems, people like that. Those were just legendary stars. And for me to be on the big stage with them, that to me, that was crazy. That was, I look at my career and going, son, you did well. You were among, you weren't the great one, but you were among the great, and you had moments of greatness with the great one. And that to me, that is, if there's a legacy in my life, I think that's going to be the thing that I look at. Even when it's so funny, sometimes it gets confused because a lot of people say, man, I saw you. I was there in 1986. You had the greatest team ever. I saw you playing during that time. I'm like, dude, I got traded. I didn't play here in 1986. You know, you didn't? I said, no. I said,
some people still connect you with that team.
Yeah, they say, well, they connect me with the team because I was traded for Bill Walton. So that's the only connection that you really have about, you know, me not being there. But man, that's crazy. But that thing with the Wahlbergs, that is so. I would have thought that.
For real.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have been like in your wheelhouse.
I know.
New Edition. I would have definitely saw with just a new Edition. So you know that was you know Boston's Own or New Kids on the Block or you know.
I remember having a similar conversation with Kyle Draper, and he was talking about, oh, you know, what about what is it, Big Bruce and the Bulldogs, something like that. I'm like, he goes, yo, they're from Boston. And I'm like, yo, you gotta understand, man. Like, I like just missed that. Like, you know, like it was kind of a nice run for some of these Boston guys, you know, in hip hop, but I was a baby, you know. So it's funny.
I'm confused by that. I don't know, Big who?
Yeah, exactly. Big. Hold on, something in the Bulldogs.
And the Bulldogs?
Yeah,
I ain't never heard that before. That doesn't cross my wheelhouse right there. Somebody. Yeah,
I feel like it was like maybe there's I want to say it's a duo, and they had like a couple songs, maybe one album. So it was like they came and went, and then after them came New Edition, then came or New Kids on the Block first or whatever, whichever order it was in, but. Yeah, man, I get that all the time.
I mean,
Joel will remember. Joel remember more than that.
Well, you think about rap, and we talk about that. How do you get away from Run DMC? Was that probably the greatest exposure when they had the song with he was
Aerosmith?
Aerosmith.
Another Boston band, by the way.
Yeah, and that's a Boston. Jay Giles band. They lived not far from me when I lived over in Brookline.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I mean, there was just, but we didn't interact. That's the crazy thing. We didn't interact with anybody back in the day.
I was just going to ask you, have you ever crossed paths with one of these like celebrities or musicians?
No Patriot players ever came to our game. Nobody I knew ever went down Gillette Stadium. No Bruins players ever came to our game. No Red Sox players ever came to our game, nor had we ever gone to their games. the interaction now between the players, to me, is so cool, because we didn't really like the Bruins, because the Bruins were owned by their owner of their team. You know, we share the garden with them, and the Bruins had privileges we didn't have. Yeah, we couldn't park in the building. We couldn't park in the garden.
Wow.
The Bruins players could drive up the ramp and park in the old garden. The Celtic players, we couldn't. We had to park outside in the elements.
With all them championships y'all winning?
With all the championships, we had to park in the elements. But the Bruins and the Celtics definitely did not get along during the 80s. That wasn't cool at all.
That's interesting. I never heard that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like it's similar with the fan bases, man. If I hate to say it, you know, I bet there's maybe a few Bruins fans watching or whatever, but like they don't cross paths, man. Like growing up, like
but you have
and one fan base wanted their team to win before the other one. You know, it was like this weird thing. Whereas Celtics fans were like, "Hey, Bruins win, good for them. It's not a competition here."
The thing that I think is really different now is the fact that you will have a lot of Bruins players at the game.
Yeah.
They will come to the game. They'll be
That's true.
You have Red Sox players, your guy. Let me make sure I said the way it's supposed to be said. David Ortiz.
That's right.
Alias Big Papi, which
that's a legend right there. That's a Boston goat.
You can never get Joe Sway to use David Ortiz. His alias.
Hey, they named that street after him, Max. What's that called? It's called David Ortiz Way. That's what it is, man. That's what it is.
And then, but most people say Big Papi.
No, I think it is that, actually. I think that's what it says on there. But anyways, before we get out of here, I want to ask you about this event that you had at the Basketball Hall of Fame in my old stomping grounds of Springfield College. Explain yourself, Max. Man, for the listeners and viewers out there, man, this is the shit. I got to find out about some of this stuff from someone else or whatever, you know, through these channels or whatever. And I'm like, what? Max going to my old stomping grounds, man? Springfield? How was it?
It had 30 days. I think it's 35 days with, NBA players. Some famous NBA players are going to be at the Springfield at the Hall.
Was Kyle there? Does Kyle still do it?
No, and just able to speak. So I took they said you could take any day in July. So I took the 31st and went there and just kind of hung out and spoke and really had a good time in Springfield. And I'm going back out to Amherst. I have a couple of speaking engagements at Amherst at UMass within the next month or so. And I was at back there in Springfield again at the Westfield Fireflies, I think, game.
Okay.
Myself and your guy Brian Scalabrini. I went 2 days later. So I've been in Western Mass, man, and talked a lot about the Celtics, and and it was really cool. They gave us these jerseys, were inspired Celtic jerseys we had on. So it was a good time while we're out there. So yeah, that's what happened. I was in Springfield and just kind of hung out a little bit.
I gotta check out that new Celtics exhibit, man. What is it called? The Vault?
The Vault.
The Vault, man. I gotta check that out. I remember they had people talking to us about it.
Vault has a bunch of great stuff. Matter of fact, it has the authentic rings. It has, I think, eight or nine championship rings that are in there. And these were from players who have loaned it. They have Cedric Maxwell has a big thing in there. The finals MVP trophy, which I sold to a collector. And the collector loaned it to the hall. And it's in the hall right now. So if I want to
check that out.
Yeah, so if I want to go get me, you, and your brother Joel, and we go down there with guns, I can pull an OJ and yo.
Oh, you trying to set us up, man? Come on, man.
Let me get my shit right now, man. Y'all got to fill up in there. Give it to me.
All you got to do if we get him holed up for a little bit, that's kidnapping. That's all it takes, Cedric. That's how they got him.
So yeah, so that was it. So Springfield's a good place, and you can go there. A lot of excitement. And I said something. I'll say it here on our station.
I gotta check it out.
I said no offense at all to the people in Springfield, but my jersey is retired at the Boston Garden with the Boston Celtics. That to me is just as big as a Hall of Fame because of the number of championships that this team, this organization was able to win. And for the Celtics to win one more and be one ahead of the Lakers now, boy, it's gonna be all easy. You want to get me this year, Josue? Catch me at the Laker game. Catch me talking to Michael Thompson. Please make sure you have your camera there when I'm talking to Michael Thompson, because there's gonna be some shit talking and flying, and they better not give me no championship ring. If there one day I'll be wearing it,
you know you get one.
Oh my God!
You know you get one, and you know the victory lap is gonna be epic. You know,
the victory lap is gonna be.
You've been waiting for this for a while, man.
The victory lap.
14 years or so, 2010. You know,
for to go at those guys, because they have been talking. As a matter of fact, I talked to Clay, and he said I happened to mention that Clay Thompson. I said, yeah, your dad's always talking a bunch of noise. And he said, yeah. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, that's all you guys did. Y'all talked a lot of shit with each other.
He's been seeing since he was
like that, but I'm good though. But so it's really funny when I think about
that's all y'all do.
Now, father to son, and now to see that's going to be a big move this year. Just some of the people who moved around, and to see the thing. I can't wait to see when Klay Thompson goes back to Golden State. The ovation he's going to have, the outpouring of love, and we remember seeing that with Paul Pierce when Paul Pierce first came back to the Garden.
Oh man, I was in the crowd as a fan, man. That was it.
A young lady who was just screaming and crying. And ended up bringing her to meet Paul Pierce later on. And
she had her jerseys. They put on the big screen.
He was just like in tears, man. So, that's how much she loved Paul. And so, for Klay to go back and the Klay to win, Paul wins one championship and he defined part of this franchise. I do understand that. But Klay has to be a linchpin to what those guys did to win as many championships as he did. Even the stories I heard, there was somebody talking the other day about the Kevin Durant story with Draymond. And I said, damn, that's kind of wild when they were going back and forth. He was Draymond and Kevin Durant, and why Kevin Durant ultimately left that team and probably submarined a team that was, as a lot of people say, they had the cheat code with the players they had on that team. That was that team mentally, physically, shooting. When you had Kevin Garnett with that team, not Kevin Garnett, excuse me, Kevin Durant, that team, that was surreal.
Yeah, man. He said that was pretty much the beginning of the end, man, when that thing happened on the court the way it did. And, he had never seen, I guess, that side of Draymond up until that point, I want to say. He spoke about it briefly in a recent interview, but yeah man.
Saying that was crazy. My boy. Is that my boy? Go to him.
Oh, you saw it, right?
Anything about him and all this different stuff. But he said they didn't address it. And that's the thin line. You talk about players, their egos or how they feel, which is crazy because he let that one moment, because they didn't discuss that moment. They didn't bring everybody together and say, let's air this thing out.
See, but that's the thing, Mac. That stuff is important. And I feel like because he was, I don't know, I don't want to call him like an outsider, but it was just like, let's not ruin the season. Let's just keep it going. But it's like, no, man, some stuff has to be said. You know what I mean? There has to be a conversation. I feel like they didn't want to make it a thing because they didn't be like, oh, whose team is this? We got to make this a thing because Durant is upset about it. It's like, no, that's not the point, man. You guys are a team, whether it's Durant or whether it's the seventh dude coming off the bench. Like, if someone feels some type of way, like, that's got to be discussed. So, but at the same time, I can understand Durant saying, well, no one wants to rock the boat. Everyone wants to just forget about it. And obviously, it was something that made a humongous impact,
Yeah, it happens. So,
yeah, that stuff happens for sure. But yeah, man, this is great. Great questions, everyone. Thank you for reaching out. Appreciate it. Of course, if you have, maybe we'll do another one at some point, but we're always open to questions or whatever you want to know. Hit us up on Twitter, comments, all that stuff. Appreciate all the support. Of course, the likes, the retweets. Man, it's been a fun summer, Max, man. Relaxing summer. And of course, you got nothing but great content coming your way. But that's going to do it for this episode, this mailbag edition of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. He is Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue Pavone. We'll see you guys next week.
Josue Pavone here, CLNS Media, and if you made it this far, that means you really like this video. So hit subscribe, make sure you keep our notifications on, damn it, and we got plenty of great content coming your way.